Hi, it's January Top Picks, and I have got a special book that I'm really excited to talk with you about. But they're all special, so stay tuned. Keep reading. Hi, Happy New Year. And it's time for my January top picks. And I'm so excited. I've got 6 great books, a special book that I'm going to talk about at the end, but every story I just fell in love with, and I have a feeling you will too. So let's start with the first book. So this is my lead book, and it's All My Secrets by Lynn Austin. It's a historical, in case you couldn't tell by the cover, and it's published by Tyndale, and it'll come out in hardback, paperback, ebook, and audiobook, and it will be coming out February 6th. So that's in a couple weeks. So what does that mean if it's a couple weeks before release? Pre-order. It really does help the author, and it just kind of tickles the algorithms and makes it very nice for publishers and for authors. So let's do that. Now, Lynn is going to be my featured author for February's A2A, which means I'll be interviewing her on the blog, and I get to interview her on YouTube. Yay! So this is like best-selling, multi-award winning author, and love her books too. So it's not just hype. She's an amazing writer. So let's learn a little bit about Lynn. So, wow, Lynn has recently sold nearly 2 million copies of her books worldwide. A former teacher who now writes and speaks full-time. She has won 8 Christie Awards for historical fiction and was one of the first inductees into the Christie Hall of Fame. One of her novels, Hidden Places, was made into a Hallmark movie. Lynn and her husband have 3 grown children and make their home in Western Michigan. Okay, so here is the publisher's notes. Here are the publisher notes. Okay, New York, 1898. The only thing more shocking than Arthur Stanhope III's unexpected death is the revelation that he will bestow his company and most of the vast fortune that goes with it to the nearest male heir, leaving his mother, wife, and daughter nearly impoverished. His widow, Sylvia, quickly realizes she must set aside her grief to ensure their daughter, Adelaide, is launched into society as soon as the appropriate mourning period passes. If Sylvia can find a wealthy husband for Addie before anyone realizes they're practically destitute, there will be little disruption to the lifestyle that they're accustomed to. Sylvia's mother-in-law, Junietta, believes their life could use a little more disruption. Don't you love it? She has watched Sylvia play her role as a society wife, as Junietta once did, despite what it costs them both. Junietta vows to give her granddaughter the power to choose a path beyond what society expects. But for Addie to have that chance, both mother and grandmother must first confront painful truths about their own choices. Only in bringing their secrets to light can they hope to reshape their family inheritance into a legacy more fulfilling than they ever dared to dream. Now, if you like stories where social injustices are addressed. Great book. Also, this is during the Gilded Age in New York, and really the society crowd, their wealth kind of cocooned them from all the terrible things that were going on around them. In fact, they isolated themselves so much. There was so much that they missed that they could have helped with. So I always appreciate that. So let's read first paragraph. New York City, July 1898. And this is in Adelaide's, the granddaughter's point of view. Adelaide Stanhope sat at her father's graveside, as still and upright as the surrounding tombstones. The enormous Stanhope obelisk loomed over the family cemetery plot where her great-grandfather, grandfather, and now her father had been laid to rest. Grandmother Junietta Stanhope's hand, gloved in black lace, lay limp and fragile in her own as the service droned on. Adelaide grasped so few of the clergyman's words that they might as well be in another language. Eternity, dust, life, rest. Father was dead. All My Secrets, Lynn Austin, historical, really very immersive book. You'll love it. And I can't wait to talk with Lynn. All right, next book. This is by Robin W. Pearson, and I love Robin's writing. So fresh. She has such a fresh voice. And this is called JUNCTION, and it is a women's contemporary. And ta-da! So this is published by Tyndale, and it's coming out in hardback, paperback, ebook, and audiobook also on February 6th. So in a couple weeks. So that means pre-order. All right. So I think I interviewed Robin last year. So I'll be sure and put that link there. At the very least, I did review one of her books too. So this is award-winning author Robin W. Pearson's writing sprouts from her Southern roots and her love of her husband and 7 children. Both lend authenticity to her novels that Publishers Weekly describes as having excellent characters and plotting that captures the complexity and beauty of family. I would agree with that. Very good. Follow her on her blog, Mommy Concentrated, where she shares her adventures in faith, family, and freelancing. Okay, so I love sisterhood kind of books, especially when they're real sisters too. So this is great family conflict and drama and just family dynamics that I'm sure everyone can identify with. So here are the sisters. Frances May Livingstone's firm grip on her family's destructive history makes her hold her husband and 4 children even closer. But she's losing bits of herself while proving to everyone and her mama that she's enough. There's no way she'll repeat her mama's mistakes, even if it kills her. She's the eldest, so totally identify with that. Annabelle McMillan didn't have trouble kicking the Eastern North Carolina dust off her feet. The tough part was replanting herself in familiar soil. Now she's blending her old life with her new husband, stepson, and unborn child. And battling old memories of abandonment and new fears of rejection. Middle daughter, middle sister. Dr. Charlotte Winters has built a career around helping others sort through their emotional baggage. She's also spent a lifetime refusing to unpack her own. So what if Charlotte doesn't recall all that her mother did to her? And what her daddy didn't do for her? Her only mission is to help others help themselves until the women from her past and the man in her future undo her well-sown life. At the junction of healed and nurturing, broken and whole, and past and present, three women wrestle with their inability to forgive and forget in this riveting Southern family drama about sisterhood from award-winning author Robin W. Pearson. All right. First paragraph. It's cool because it's like a dual timeline, but the way that she identifies it rather than dates is she'll say then and now. So, all right, chapter 1, then. So this is the past. What time is it? Annabelle's voice quivered as she studied the shadows huddling under the sliding board in Lincoln Park. She expected the streetlight at the corner to come on in any minute, and she didn't think her 4-year-old legs could outrun those misshapen silhouettes if they had a mind to chase her. They were in the spitting distance of their home, but fear made it feel much farther. So what are the kids doing out at the playground at night? Next book. Now we get into romantic suspense. One Final Target by Janice Cantore. I hope it's Cantore, because all the Cantores I know pronounce it that way. Okay, this is also published by Tyndale. Tyndale's getting quite a bit of play here this month. And it will release in hardback, paperback, ebook, and audiobook. Actually, no. I take that back. It's paperback, ebook, and audiobook. And it will release February 13th. So that means pre-order, right? Of course, right. Okay, so if you haven't heard of Janice Cantore, you like romantic suspense, you're going to love her books. I'll read why. Okay. So Janice is a retired Long Beach police officer who now writes suspense novels to keep readers engrossed and leave them inspired. Her 22 years of experience on the force lend authenticity to her stories. Janice has penned 14 novels, including the Line of Duty series, the Cold Case Justice series, and the Pacific Coast Justice series, as well as Breach of Honor and Code of Courage. All right. So here is the publisher synopsis. A warrant service in the San Bernardino Mountains goes horribly wrong when an IED blast kills 4 police officers. Devastated by the loss of her team, the lone survivor, Long Beach Sergeant Jody King, struggles with her guilt and grief, especially as the case remains open with no clear leads or suspects. Weeks after the explosion, Jody retires from the police department and returns to the mountain bomb site seeking peace and resolution, only to find herself in the crosshairs once again. Sam Gresham just happens to be in the right place at the right time when shots are fired at Jody. or maybe the wrong place in the wrong time. But no, for this story, right place, right time. The newest detective for the county sheriff's department, Sam is assigned to work the IED, his first case back after his own traumatic loss. While Sam sees an opportunity to help Jody heal from her lingering scars, Jody hopes fresh eyes will bring new insights to the investigation. Because after this last shooting, one thing seems clear. Jody has always been the intended target. And the threat may be too much closer to her than anyone wants to admit. I got to tell you, there were more twisty turns and red herrings. I mean, I'm an author, so and one of my favorite genres is mystery and suspense. So usually I can kind of figure out who it is. It was like almost to the very, very end before I figured out who it was. And then there was another twist, and it was even more complicated. So, yet it was still real. It wasn't like out of nowhere, trying to fake you out. It was so well done. So well done. Way to go, Janice. Okay, chapter 1. Sergeant Jody King tapped the butt of her handgun with her index and second fingers, an outward sign of inward anxiousness. She figured when she stopped being anxious about serving a warrant, it was time to do something else. Unease would keep her on her toes, and I would say alive. Romantic suspense, winner, and pre-order. Okay. One of my favorite historical writers, Laura Frantz. This is a beautiful cover. Just love that. This is an actual cover. It's not a advanced reader's copy. So it has raised flowers on it. It's and lettering. Very cool. Okay. So Laura Frantz knows how to do historical. And what's nice about this book is I read at least one, maybe two others where there are characters that were in those stories that are also in this story. So it's kind of cool. I like that. All right. Laura Frantz. Oh, okay. This is published by Revell, and it's coming out in hardback, paperback, ebook, and audiobook. And it releases on February 13th. So pre-order. I know people that pre-ordered this back in July. So it speaks to how great her writing is. I got to tell you. All right. Laura Frantz is a Christie Award winner and the ECPA best-selling author of 15 novels, including The Rose and the Thistle, great book, The Frontiersman's Daughter, great book, Tidewater Bride, great book, The Lace Maker, and A Heart Adrift, great books. She is the proud mama of an American soldier and a career firefighter. Though she will always call Kentucky home, she lives with her husband in Washington State. Beautiful country. We lived there for a couple of years. Okay, so here is the publisher's synopsis. As 1754 is drawing to a close, tensions between the French and the British on Canada's Acadian shore are reaching a fever pitch. Seamstress Sylvie Gallant and her family, French-speaking Acadians wishing to remain neutral, are caught in the middle, their land positioned between two forts flying rival flags. Amid preparations for the celebration of Noel, or Christmas, I guess, the talk is, it really seemed that way when I read it. So The talk is of unrest, coming war, and William Blackburn, the British Army Ranger, raising havoc across North America's borderlands. As summer takes hold in 1755 and British ships appear on the horizon, Sylvia encounters Blackburn, who warns her of the coming invasion. Rather than participate in the forced removal of the Acadians from their land, he resigns his commission, but that cannot save Sylvia and her kin. Relocated on a ramshackle ship to Virginia, Sylvie struggles to pick up the pieces of her life. When her path crosses once more with Williams, they must work through the complex tangle of their shared, shattered past to navigate the present and forge an enduring future. Now, this is like one of those epic books. It takes you through history. It takes you through injustice, social injustice, and unfortunately, it's another era where humanity's poor behavior, shall we say, is evident. So apparently we haven't learned a whole lot. And this was the English and the French. So, yeah. Okay, so let's read. And it's cool because she has a lot of historical information. The area of ACADIE was actually what is now known as Nova Scotia. So the land was just incredibly fertile, and the Acadians had these beautiful farms and orchards, and they were kind of the envy of the soldiers. And boy, they took advantage of the fact that they were peace-loving people. So it's also got a glossary too. Okay. Lake George, province of New York, winter 1753. And this is the prologue. He was numb. The wind whipped snow, driving ice shards into his exposed skin, the grip of his rifle weak. All the while, a fire burned in his mind, driving him forward as he half clawed up the frozen mountain. He was no longer the commander of the Ranger Corps scattered in the valley below, but a boy bent on saving his own life all over again. Boy, it throws you right in, doesn't it? Whew. Okay. I always love discovering new authors. And this is a new author, Angela Bell, and this is her debut novel, A Lady's Guide to Marvels and Misadventure. Now, how amazing. I mean, just the title alone, it's just like when I was talking with Sarah Brunsvold about the extraordinary deaths of Mrs. Kipp and the divine proverb of Streusel. Great titles. There's enough quirkiness that it just pulls you in, that you want to know what it's all about. So as soon as I saw that title, it was, I gotta have it. So this is published by Bethany House. And as I said, Angela, this is her first novel. And if she's writes like this in the future, I will be a regular reader of her books. So here's a little bit about Angela Bell. And this is, did I say? No, Bethany House, and it's coming out in hardback, paperback, ebook, and audiobook. And it's due to release the end of February 27th. So pre-order. You won't be sorry. So Angela Bell is a 21st century lady with 19th century sensibilities. And I have to agree with that. Her dialogue and her manner of writing is is so smooth and so effortless. I'm sure it took a lot of effort, but it just feels effortless and just really pulls you into the story in that time period, which is Victorian age. So Angela resides in Texas with her charming pup, Mr. Bingley Crosby. One might categorize her books as historical romance, but Angela likes to describe them as a cuppa Victorian whimsy. Don't you love it? Whenever you need a respite from the 21st century hustle, you're welcome to visit her imaginary parlor at her website, where she can be found waiting with a pot of tea and a great book. She just creates this environment, doesn't she? Okay, so here is the publisher's summary. Victorian socialite Clara Stanton strives to protect her eccentric family's reputation, but that proves to be difficult when her grandfather takes off on a flight of fancy. Yes, in Victorian age. Thrown together with a vagabond tinker, Theodore Kingsley, Clara sets off to follow her grandfather's whimsical adventure and finds love along the way. Now, this is Victorian historical romance, but it also has kind of this layer of steampunk, like whimsical steampunk, and just the concept of invention and creativity. It's just, her grandfather is a master genius creator and inventor. So you're gonna love these inventions that he has. All right, so let's read the first paragraph. Chapter 1, February 1860, London, England. For Miss Claire Marie Stanton, the task of preventing her family from being committed to an asylum had become as commonplace as it was exhausting. Isn't that great? Don't you want to know more? All right. Now, here's the special book. Now, this is nonfiction. It's a memoir and biography, and I guess technically an autobiography. This is written by a friend of mine, and it was kind of co-written with another friend of mine, and that is Avi Mizrachi and Kathi Macias, and it's called Legacy of Hope, Hidden Heroes from Generation to Generation. Now, my friend Avi and his family, they live in Israel, and this is a story that is true. And it's revealing information about little known heroes that were instrumental in saving tens of thousands of Jewish people during the Holocaust. In fact, it's believed that every single Jewish person during the Holocaust, even though the Nazis actively tried to put them in rail cars, none of them died. And that was in part by the rabbi and the priest who teamed together with other Jewish people and Christians and just wouldn't let it happen. And they did, it's just so, the vista of what they did. I mean, the scope of what they did is nothing short of miraculous. I mean, it's the stuff of Hollywood movies. But it's true. It's actually true. So the really cool thing is that it's the story of Avi's father and grandparents, and the story goes from World War II to them making Aliyah or immigrating to Israel at a time before Israel became a nation, before the state of Israel was acknowledged and recognized, just like inches before that happened. So it expands to that, and then it also talks about Avi's life in the military, and it also talks about his salvation story. I don't want to give too much away, but it's just so powerful. I mean, just when I found out about this story, they actually asked me to help write it, but I just didn't have the chops. So my friend Kathi Macias has been a ghostwriter for a lot of very famous people. And I knew with her strong faith and her love for the Jewish people that she would do this book well. She would do a real service to this story. So let me tell you a little bit about Avi. Avi Mizrachi was born and raised in a Jewish family in Jaffa, Tel Aviv, and Zichron Yaakov, Israel. He served in the Israeli Air Force and did his reserve duties in the Israeli Defense Force. Avi is the founder and leader of Dugit Outreach Ministries. Dugit means small boat. He still resides in Israel today with his wife, Chaya, whom I love. Oh, I just love her. His daughters and grandchildren. And I worked with Devorah, his daughter. Brilliant young woman. And then Kathi Macias is the best-selling author of almost 60 books. She lives in Southern California with her husband, Al. And Kathi and I call each other twin, even though we were born years apart. All right, so this is by Westbow Press. And I'll tell you what, if you're looking for ways to help Israel and help citizens of Israel, buying books like this is really important. Not only do you get historical information and just a boost to your faith, you'll also be helping out these families and their ministries in the land of Israel. And this is a story that really needs to go out and be shared in churches and synagogues, different organizations, just to talk about the fact that when people are together in unity, amazing things can happen for the kingdom of God. So, Legacy of Hope, Hidden Heroes from Generation to Generation, tells the story, both historically and personally, of two seldom honored heroes, an Orthodox priest and a humble but highly revered rabbi who courageously and repeatedly risked their lives to save Bulgaria's Jewish population. Rabbi Daniel Zion and Metropolitan Stefan. Yeah, this is a church denomination I wasn't familiar with. They're kind of Catholic, but they don't come from Rome, so they're a little different. And Metropolitan is kind of like priest, I think. So they both faced many dangers, including deportation and death. They did so sustained by courage and faith as they effectively preserved the lives of not only the Bulgarian Jews of their generation, but of generations to come. Avi has a very personal attachment to this story. His parents knew this phenomenal rabbi and had heard and passed on bits and pieces of the story. After years of research, these bits and pieces have been woven into a dramatic, compelling story. Legacy of Hope gives an accurate account of the history of Bulgaria and its Jewish population prior to, during, and after World War II, when millions of European Jews from other countries were turned over to the Nazis for almost certain destruction. Bulgaria's nearly 50,000 Jews survived. Did you know that? Until I heard about this story, I didn't. This historical account of amazing yet little-known events took place in Bulgaria during World War II and the beginning of the modern state of Israel. It is also an account of two Bulgarian Jewish families whose lives and futures have remained intertwined from Bulgaria to Israel through multi-generations. Is this beautiful cover? There are different historical photos of both the rabbi and Avi and his family and his father, as well as maps, but it's just got all these great photos. I mean, they were real people and they risked their lives. All right, let's read the first paragraph. Chapter 1, A Friendship with Far-Reaching Effects. And this is Avi, of course. I will never forget the look of love and respect on my parents' faces each time they told me of the beloved rabbi who risked his own life to save the Jewish people of Bulgaria. Throughout the years, my parents told me many stories of World War II, as well as the time preceding and immediately following. They praised many, particularly those Bulgarians who shared in saving the nearly 50,000 Bulgarian Jews who lived among them. Yet it is especially when my beloved mother and father spoke of Rabbi Daniel Zion that their eyes sparkled and their faces shone. In addition to all those who worked to protect the Bulgarian Jews during that time, it is Rabbi Daniel Zion and the Metropolitan Stefan that have a special place in my heart. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, and this comes out in hardback, paperback, and ebook. It is available. It came out in December. I didn't get my book. It took like 6 weeks for me to get my book, which otherwise I would have put it in the top picks for December. So that's this month's top picks, and I got a little bit of something for everybody. So, and maybe books for everyone, or every book for everyone. So thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you next month for another round of top picks. In the meantime, God bless and keep reading.